Today, we are excited to interview a true authority in her space, Kat Talks Thai.
สวัสดีค่ะ I'm so glad you're here. If you're interested in learning more about the Thai culture and the Thai language, then you're in the right place.
Originally from Thailand, Kat has made a life for herself and has bridged the gap between the culture she was born into and the culture she built her following in.
Kat has inspired over 400,000 people online by teaching Thai language and culture through short form content. She found a demand in that space and continues to expand. We are so excited to ask her how she accomplished all of this.
Before we start our interview, we want to take a moment to thank you all for helping us reach over 1,000 subscribers. We are so happy that many of you find our philosophy on communication helpful. We also want to ask for your help with something.
Our channel is dedicated to helping women who use English as their second language learn how to use their voice to advance in their careers. However, at the time of this recording right now, our audience is only 31% women. This means that our videos are being pushed to fewer women, and these women are less likely to get the help that they need.
If you are a woman and our videos help you, subscribing to our channel and sharing these videos with other women will help shift the algorithm so that we can help more women get the help they need with communicating in English. Thank you so much for your help. And now let's get started with Kat. Awesome. So, Kat, we are so excited to have you here again, and very much starstruck ourselves. You have well over, what is it, 400,000 followers across the board when it comes to teaching Thai culture and the language?
Yes, about 400,000 across all the platforms that I'm on. Yes.
Wow.
That is so impressive.
Thank you. I mean, it's a surprise to me too, honestly. When I first started everything, I didn't realize how interested people would be in Thai culture and language. I think, like most people, I started TikTok during the COVID time in 2020, and I'm like, I'm just gonna have a little bit of fun on this. I met a few friends through there. I was doing skits and just random different things. And then one day I was like, you know what? Let me teach some common Thai phrases just for fun because I saw a lot of other Asian creators, but I didn't see very many Thai creators.
Mm.
I thought, what better way to represent my own culture and country than just, let's start teaching Thai. So I did that and it sort of picked up and people started following me and I'm like, okay, maybe there's interest here. And so I continued and to this day, I'm still surprised at all, the interest there is, but I love it because it's putting Thai culture on the map. I love that taking an interest and there's just so much to share.
Yeah. So for those of for our listeners and for those who are watching and just really don't know who you are fully, like what can you tell us about like who's Kat Talks Thai? Like where did you start? Obviously you started with COVID, but before that, how did you get to this point?
It's so funny because before TikTok, before COVID, I was not a social media person. I had some, personal accounts. They were all private. I will admit I'm a little bit more introverted. So I'm a little cautious about putting myself out there. I'm like, oh, it makes me nervous. What are people going to think? What are people going to say? And that's actually how everything started. If you go back and look at some of my original videos, I'm like really nervous on camera.
Mhm.
Um, but I think I'm a marketer though. So in my day job, I have a full-time day job. I do marketing for a large global company. And so I just decided, as a marketer, I should be aware of social media and what's going on and some of the trends and how things work. And so I tried it and I continued to adapt and learn as I go.
I
So
love that.
Mhm.
if I'm understanding correctly, then you're teaching Thai culture and language, but that wasn't your background. It's not, I mean, you're not like quote unquote qualified according to paper, like, pedagogy and everything. So
Right.
how does
No
that,
degree in Thai
yeah.
education teaching.
Yeah, no, it's funny because if you asked me, in 2019, oh, do you think you'd be teaching Thai on social media? I'd be like, what are you talking about? Of course not. No, grew up, I have a business degree. I went to undergrad for business, got my master's in business. And so I think that was just the direction I had been planning to go. Never in a million years that I think I would grow a social media account. So, no,
Mm.
I have not been trained to teach Thai as a teacher. However, growing up in Thailand, so I spent my childhood between the US and Thailand. So, growing up in Thailand, I had to take Thai classes.
Mm.
Um, and even in like high school, I remember still taking some of those Thai classes, and those learnings stayed with me. And so when I tried to get back into it, I brushed up on some of my knowledge. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's true. I remember learning these rules in
Mhm.
Thai.
Yeah.
Um, but what I guess I put my own spin to it, because sometimes you can't teach um, foreigners how to speak Thai in the same way that you would teach a Thai person who grew up speaking the language. And
Yeah.
so I think I'm using my knowledge, my English speaking skills. Um, yeah, I'm using some of that knowledge to find new ways to teach Thai to non-Thai speakers.
I love
Yeah.
that. And I love that you found your niche naturally. Like
Yeah,
you saw that there was a need and you just said, yeah, you know what? I think I kind of want to. I see a lot of Asian creators and I don't really see Thai being taught. So maybe I'll do that and test the waters. And it seems like from there, it kind of just, woo, you grew immediately. Do you feel like that growth was kind of immediate?
right.
Yeah.
Right. Um, yeah, there were spurts, definitely. And there were some videos that went viral. I'm like, I don't know why that went viral. It's just, a phrase about asking someone's name, like "Kunchurai, what is your name?" But I don't know why that went viral. And I think some of it was because, oh, these were phrases used in some Thai dramas and people picked up on that. And so people wanted to know. There was, Lisa from Blackpink. Oh, she said this phrase. So they
Mm,
were interested in that phrase. And so from that experience, I learned, okay, so maybe, I can hone in on some of the phrases that are used in pop culture and teach from that. So um, I think you'll see a lot of my videos in the beginning were taken from, Thai
Mm.
series or
yeah.
Thai music. And I think students enjoy learning that way too, because they recognize it and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, she said that. My favorite celebrity said that.
Yeah.
So they want to learn it even more.
Yeah.
It's
And we,
kind of like authority hacking. Like this
Yeah,
person is already big, and if I talk about them, I'm going to get their fans, right?
right. Yeah. It's sort of riding that wave, right? There's a wave of like celebrities doing this and that. So I try to jump on the wave when I can.
yeah, I love that. And we were actually telling, for those who are listening in our private audience, we were um, telling them before you arrived that that's kind of how we found you. We were at a point where Vietnam was still closed due to the pandemic, and we had received an offer to teach in Thailand.
Hmm.
And so we were looking at that, but I was like, I don't really know anything about Thai culture and language. And
Mhm.
so I searched and boom, up
That's when we
pops
found
Cat
you.
Talks Thai. And
I
so,
didn't, I don't think I knew that about your background, that you guys were considering moving to Thailand.
mhm,
Yeah. We
Vietnam.
did end up moving to Vietnam and we were
Yes.
there for just over a year. But no, Thailand was actually very high on our list of options. And ultimately, it came down to my family members who do live in Vietnam. Eventually, they did open up. But I love absorbing content about Thailand. It's just such a cool place.
Mhm.
And even here, We like to volunteer with a lot of different Asian communities in Utah,
Mhm.
and we got to volunteer at a Songkran festival here.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, granted, it was cold still.
Yeah,
And
no
so,
water.
you know, it was a little blow up pool, but
um,
No, I love that. I didn't realize you had Songkran festivals. I mean, I didn't realize how common Songkran festivals were just across the US until I joined, social media. And I'm like, oh, they have it in this city and that city and this city too. So I love hearing about that.
well, when you
Yeah.
hear that we're in Utah, it's like you probably like, are there Thai people in Utah? We don't know, it's such a small state. But a lot of our clients when they are learning English or they're trying to push themselves, because we're more than just English teachers, we are career coaches that teach communication, and they
the
have a
stuff you can't
huge
learn in school.
right. And we feel that you are also teaching that same type of thing. It's the things that are important, but like aren't taught in school. One of my personal favorites was from you. I learned that there are is superstition or maybe tradition the right word around do not touch a child on top of their head. Do not, we on these days we wear this color, and
Mhm.
so these were really interesting things. But a lot of our clients, they feel imposter syndrome when they are being put inside of a different culture or inside of a different environment where they don't fully believe in themselves. Did you ever have this experience, especially being that you kind of transitioned between cultures and then you were teaching in something that you had a business degree, but now you're teaching Thai? Have you ever experienced that type of imposter syndrome yourself?
Especially blowing up.
Absolutely. All the time. And so, going back to my background, I spent a couple of years between the US and Thailand. I went back to Thailand when I was 14. And I was there until well into my 20s. And so I didn't come back to the US until grad school when I was 27. That I'll admit it was a culture shock having been away from the US for a long time. And going to grad school, I think it was very demanding. Grad school requires that you come out of your shell. You're more extroverted compared to the Thai culture, which is a little bit more reserved. And um, at that time, I'll admit I was a horrible public speaker. And it's something that I still continue to try to improve on to this day. But in grad school, I was forced to present in front of the class all the time, and I was recorded. We had a communications class. I was recorded, and then we could look back at our recordings and see how we did. And I remember just cringing and thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, I can't keep presenting like this.
Is that
Yeah.
my voice?
It's my voice. I look so, I lacked confidence on the
Yeah.
stage. And so I think that's something that I continued to work on. Of course, with the help of my friends, they gave me feedback. And so as someone, you know, jumping into a new culture, I think I needed the feedback from my peers.
Yeah.
In a safe space, of course, my closest friends who were open enough to give me that feedback. Oh, you should do this, you should project more, you should say things this way, that so on and so forth. And of course, I had the guidance of my professors as well, which was
Yeah.
very helpful. But to this day, I'm still learning. I started a corporate job right after grad school. And I remember my boss at the time, we were celebrating something and he's like, okay, fist bump. And I didn't know. I was like, what? And it was
Why is
really
this man
weird.
trying to punch me?
And he waited for a few seconds and I just, oh, okay, fist bump, which was really awkward. And, you in hindsight, there are those moments where I cringe. I'm like, oh my gosh, these little things are embarrassing, but
Yeah.
I tell myself to continue to learn from it. Uh,
Yeah.
and I've been in the US for 15 years now. I'm in my
Hmm.
40s. I think I've learned a lot just trying to absorb from the environment around me, but I'm still learning. There are
Yeah.
still things that, you know, being in the US, you're just exposed to so many different cultures, right?
Right.
My
Oh yeah.
husband is Indian. He's, been in the US for a long time, so I'm absorbing his culture. And sometimes, we're still like Thai and Asian culture. So we meet other people from other cultures and we're like, oh, I didn't realize people do things that way. And so
Yeah.
we're still continuing to learn from our environment.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to assume something big here. I bet your house smells amazing. Between Thai and Indian. We got
Yes.
really good cuisines going on at that house.
Thank you. We do love to eat. Yes.
I am curious because I feel like a lot of us go through these same feelings of, like you said, imposter syndrome sometimes. How do you find the courage to keep going to do something that you might have imposter syndrome around?
Oh gosh. I I think I think you touched on it, and that is to keep going,
Mm,
right? I think when you feel like you've come across a roadblock and you feel like there are challenges, okay, you might pause for a little bit and get stuck and, tell yourself, okay, how do I get around this? It might put you in a standstill for a little bit, but I think the goal is eventually you have to move forward. Like you can't let that hold you back.
mm,
And you learn from it. I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. I've gotten a lot of tough feedback, both in Thailand and in the US, just going through my career. And it hurts. And some of it are cringy moments, but
mm,
you can't let that hold you back because then you're just going to be stuck in one place. So you have to tell yourself, okay, well, how do I recover from this? What can I do better? How do I move
mhm,
forward? And I think that's something I, try to focus on.
mhm.
And there's a quote that I always refer to, but it's not, I wrote it down. So not how we fall, it's how we get back up again, right?
Mm,
I love that.
You fail forward and you learn from it and you move forward because otherwise you're not going to grow.
Yeah,
I like that, the
absolutely.
fail forward. I really like that.
Yeah.
If I may ask a personal question, we all have our biggest insecurities that people might not know about, and it's for me like I'm a speaker. That's my job is I speak. But then people are shocked when they find out that I hate the sound of my own voice. To me, when I hear it, I feel like I sound like Kermit the Frog, right? And so a lot of people will be like, "Wait, you don't like the sound of your voice?" I'm like, "No, absolutely not. It's my biggest insecurity. For Obama, it was his ears." And so I'm curious, what is your biggest insecurity? What's the that we wouldn't necessarily know about that would shock us?
Um, I mentioned it earlier, but I think it'd have to be public speaking because, right, despite being in marketing and having had to present in the past, public speaking does not come easily to me. I come from a more, introverted family, so we're not used to putting ourselves out there. And people are always amazed when I tell them that. They're like, "Oh, you look so extroverted on camera." I'm like,
Yes.
"Well, that took like 10 takes." Um, and there are days where I record my videos and I just don't like what I record because, the public speaking isn't that great, or I think because I'm bilingual, sometimes I pause to think, oh, how do I phrase this? How do I say that again? Or sometimes I feel like I'm not articulating things very well. So
Mm.
I
Yeah.
have to re-record or record it multiple times. And so the end product that you see on TikTok and Instagram, that's actually hours and hours of work.
Yeah.
That does shock me, actually. I you do look very natural on camera.
I will say that every time I see you open your mouth, it just everything is very mindful, very demure. No, every time I see one of your videos or even just asking you the questions right here, I feel like everything you say is well thought out. Very, I know I hate saying very mindful because it makes me think of that trend, but um, very mindful. Um, and it does seem like every time you talk, you have a purpose. And that's just how I read it as an outsider's perspective. Um, and I love it. And I'm kind of similar. I am an introvert. I am very introverted. The problem is, like you said, people are like, "What? You're an introvert? You don't look introverted." But introvert does not mean shy.
Hmm.
So many people assume that shy and introverted are the same.
Hmm.
Not at all.
Right.
Like it's all about how you gain your energy and how you lose your energy, right? Um,
Yes. Obama was introverted,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
And he's a great speaker,
Exactly.
fantastic speaker.
I'm
And
so
yeah, oh, sorry. I was just going
oh
to ask, yeah, and what you see on camera is actually, just years of work. I will admit, being on TikTok and Instagram, that's helped me so much. Even my husband, he's like, "Oh my gosh, like you've grown on camera. You've, he's seen an improvement in me, and it helps in my work as well because I have to present for work too.
Oh yeah.
It's just years of practice, really.
yeah.
Um, I actually wanted to add something here because you said that. I just had a light bulb moment. This is actually what we tell the women in our program because part of the program in our private group is they upload videos of themselves speaking. And eventually it gets easier and easier and easier. And it starts showing in their real lives, right? It's just they're uploading a little video into a private community where we give them feedback, but something about it, because it's hard to talk to a little block, right? It's like it's awkward at first, right? But as you said, the more you do that and the more you grow on camera, the more it just spills over into your work life
Right.
and into your social life. And I love that you said that. Thank you.
No, I definitely agree with that.
So I do have one question before we turn over to our ladies to ask their personal questions. Um, so you've got quite a unique mix happening. You grew up in Thailand for several years, moved to the US, had to adapt to that culture. Then you met your husband, who is from a totally different culture. And then you guys had to coexist in a world together, raise your children, etc. How do you do that? How do you blur the lines between so many different cultures and find the right language to use or what's your secret in order to transition so well?
It's an ongoing balance, really. I think we're fortunate in that the Thai culture and Indian culture, there are a lot of similarities, really. And that's what surprised us when my husband and I first got together. We're like, oh, okay, you do this in your culture, us too. Both of our cultures are very collective. Family is very big to us. And so I think our values are aligned there. And we're also pretty, I guess you can say Americanized. I spent a big chunk of my life here, so did he. And so, you know, we it's funny because sometimes we feel like we don't like I feel like I don't necessarily fit into Thai culture 100% or American culture 100%, and my husband feels the same way. And so I think our home culture is sort of just a mix of, just what we grew up with, and so it's a combination of, Thai Indian values and American values as well. I don't know if we, are consciously uh, trying to balance that every day, but I think it's always a discussion like, okay, well, what's valuable to you? What do you think about that? How do you perceive that? Or what are your thoughts? And I think communication is key, really. Just trying to understand the other person's viewpoint, and not just what they're saying, but also why they're saying that. Like, why do you think that way? Oh, it's because you were raised this way, so you have this viewpoint. And communicating your own viewpoint across as well. And then for our children, they're going to schools here in the US. So, I would say my kids are more American than they are Thai and
Right.
Indian. But then we do our part to bring in our cultures. And I'm fortunate that my in-laws live close by. So they bring in some of the Indian traditions. And then honestly, a part of me starting my Thai account was that so I can show my kids as well. Uh,
Mm.
this is what Thai culture is about. This is how you say this phrase and that
Yeah.
phrase.
I love that. You're
Um,
partially creating for your children.
Yeah.
uh-huh,
You're
yeah,
creating your own little world for them that's all of those cultures combined. And I love that.
yeah.
I also have, I'm sorry, I have a few a few more questions.
Yeah, of course.
You're very
But
interesting,
yeah,
honestly.
you're a very interesting person
Yeah.
and we love learning about you. So obviously we have members and other viewers and listeners who are trying to improve their communication skills for better opportunities, right? To improve their surroundings, to do better at their job, receive a better job. Um, from a bilingual and multicultural perspective that you offer, do you have any advice for them on their days that they feel like there's no finish line,
I can't
and
do this.
like
Yeah.
I'm losing all of my motivation, and I'm never going to get to that level that I want. What
Mhm.
advice would you have to offer them?
I would say that it's okay to take a break
Mm,
sometimes. If you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, there comes a point where you can burn out.
yes.
Um, and we really don't want that because that's very demotivating. But when you do get really tired and you do feel frustrated, take a break and take a step back, just relax, find a way to relax and calm your mind a little bit because I feel like once you're a little calmer, the emotions aren't running so high, you'll think a little
Yeah.
more clearly. And I've had those moments as well. And I guess I'll use social media as an example. I think people talk about trying to be consistent on social media,
Right.
posting, this many times a week, so on and so forth. And honestly, that does get a little bit tiring sometimes. So, if you notice on my account, there are breaks. I do have to take breaks from social
Mhm.
media. And, life gets in the way, but I also need that mental recharge as well. And
Yeah.
then
Absolutely.
after, a couple of days, couple of weeks, whatever, time frame is needed, I can come back feeling refreshed and
Yeah.
I just feel more excited about moving forward.
Yeah. It's kind of like take that little vacation in your mind, but don't unpack there. Don't
Yes.
unpack. Make sure you keep your stuff in a suitcase and like, okay, I'm ready to go back when I feel better.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Exactly. Do things that, are stimulating, right? For us, our family likes to travel, or we just like to watch movies or meet people. And, I always find that every time we do that, I come back feeling a little bit more refreshed. And sometimes I get, creative ideas out of it too.
Ah, I like that. So that rest is what kind of gives you the inspiration.
Exactly.
Love
I love
that.
that.
I like that. And so looking forward in the future now, you've accumulated 400,000 followers. You're continuing to inspire people. I can tell just by the facial expressions of Jesse and Maya here that they feel inspired. I definitely feel inspired. So what's your next steps? Like what is next on your docket of what you would hope to achieve in the next 5 years or so?
Yeah, I guess 5 years is a long time for social media. So
Hmm.
I don't know where I'll be in 5 years, but I know coming into like the beginning of 2024, I was ready to do more, right? Last year, I had launched a couple of courses for my students, like online courses. I revamped my website. I was like, okay, I really want to do more. So that was 2023. And so coming into 2024, I remember one of my New Year's resolutions was, okay, I want to do a Thailand trip. Uh,
Mm,
and so that's about to happen pretty soon. In about 2.5 weeks, I'm taking a group of 17 friends and followers to Thailand for an 8-day trip.
Wow.
Which, you know, I never thought would have happened. But in the beginning of the year, I just wanted to take that next step, right? I've had people following me, they wanted to learn with me, and now, you know, I can take this group of people to really experience the Thai culture. I think
Love that.
there's no comparison to being in Thailand and actually seeing everything for yourself and getting to
Absolutely.
practice Thai in the Thai environment.
Yeah.
So I think that is a big step for me, and my social media journey. And then next year, I do want to continue doing that. Now, the frequency, I think, will have to depend on how this first trip goes. Hopefully, everyone is happy with this trip, and I can think about maybe, doing another trip next year or maybe two. Um,
Mm.
but I'm also looking at additional courses as well. I mean, I've
Mm,
had ideas in my mind about, okay, um, the courses just for different uses
yeah.
because I see different types of followers on my platform. Some, want to reconnect with family, like Thai people born abroad, they want to reconnect with
Mhm.
family, or, some people just want to visit, some want to move there and live there. But then there are some people that are married to Thai spouses and want to learn more. And
Yeah.
so I think these are interesting, I guess, use cases or
Mm.
interesting scenarios that I'd like to sort of use as a teaching moment because for each scenario, I think you'll want to learn different things. Like if you want to
Yeah.
talk to family, oh, okay, well, you might want to learn these set of phrases. Or
Yeah.
if you want to go live there and study there, you'll have to learn a different set of phrases.
Yeah.
So I'm just exploring what I can do in that area and how I can teach
Yeah.
Yeah.
scenarios.
I
Because
know.
sometimes somebody with Thai roots is going to want to learn different things than a hobbyist
Exactly,
wants to
exactly.
learn how to say the naughty words. You know, it's that's a different lesson there. Those are different
Um,
courses.
Exactly.
I
Exactly. Some people just want to learn phrases and they don't want to read and write, right? Because Thai is not that easy to learn. And so, yeah, I want to be able to, have courses for that as well.
Yeah.
I also do want to say, I mean, and this isn't just because I would say this even if you weren't one of our guest speakers, but I was actually one of the first people that got to look at your Thai workbook for like the
Mm.
vowels and the consonants. And to be honest, I learned more from your workbook than I did any online work that I did. And I felt it was very thorough. So
Yeah.
Thank
um,
you.
for those who are looking for that, I can attest firsthand that it's a very, very
Yeah.
effective workbook and course. So get on her website.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, and I also wanted to ask you something that we like to ask everybody who comes onto our show.
Yeah, this
um,
is the show.
this is the show. Um, but what is do you have a book or a podcast that you recommend to other women who are, who are looking at you as like, I want that, right? Who use you as an example. What book or podcast inspires you the most that you feel like you want to pass on to others?
Oh gosh. Um, that's such a hard question because I I feel like I think there are so many books that I've loved. But I think, if I may, I'd love to start with that quote, just
Yeah.
reiterating that quote, it's not how we fall, it's how we get back up again. I believe someone named Patrick Ness had said that. He's an author and writer as well. He mentioned that. And it's just something that keeps me going and inspires me all the time. So that's a quote. From a book perspective, I feel like a few books that have changed my life. And I wouldn't stop at just one book, but I think it was at a turning point in my life. Is probably Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is
Love that
I've
book.
heard of this.
yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It was at a time where, I was leaving Thailand and coming to the US. And I think it told me about just different perspectives, like, oh, here's how you should view investments, or here's how you should view just how you use your money, how you purchase. And
Mm.
that's very important. Whether you're a woman or a man, I think it's helpful for anyone, just because I don't think we're taught financial skills or
Right.
Oh, yeah.
personal financial skills in school. Even in grad school, you're taught about finance for companies and corporations, but you're not taught how to manage your own money.
Well, and a lot of the advice is old in a lot of different books. So it's all talking about the markets 15 years ago.
Yes.
Right. And so Rich Dad Poor Dad, I think it was sort of life-changing for both myself and my husband, because we read it together at the same time, and we're like, oh, I never thought of things this way. And of course, we continued to educate ourselves afterwards with other books, but that book was just our turning point.
Yeah,
Love
I
that.
love that.
No, and it's
Um,
I absolutely love that, and thank you again so much for all of this. I mean, our tickets to Thailand did get lost in the mail, so if you want to send those
yeah,
again to us, we would appreciate that, you know.
that darn snail mail. So
Yeah, snail mail.
and if it's an issue, I can crunch up into a small little duffel bag and come with you. I love Thai food, so.
Um, and Kat, where can we find you? Like where should we look if we want to purchase your course, if we want to follow you online, where do we find you?
Yeah, so I'm mainly on TikTok and Instagram, Cat Talks Thai. Um, and then my website is cattalksthai.com.
That
Love
is so
it.
awesome that because when you search Cat Talks Thai, you're the only one that pops up anytime.
You're
So
the authority.
you're in the fold. You are the authority in this space.
You.
Um, and so I love that. And I love that we were able to speak with you today. Um, of course, that brings us to the end of our public interview. We are going to turn the time over to our ladies, our private members of the group.
I really appreciate the opportunity to be on this show, this podcast. It's an honor really to be speaking with y'all and getting feedback and meeting Jesse and Meyerly. So thank you so much. This has been so fun.
Bye everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
YouTube. Kat, we would like to thank you so much for your words and for inspiring the women in our program in the private Q&A at the end of your interview. Your willingness to share your experience with us truly lights us up.
If you would like to speak with us and learn how you can meet our guest speakers in person, click the link below and schedule a free call with us. And if you enjoyed this podcast, we encourage you to share this with a woman in your life who needs help communicating in English.
Thank you again for your support in helping us reach more women. We appreciate you, and you are the reason we continue to create videos. We will see you in the comments, ladies. Bye.
Bye.